Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're talking about something you interact with literally every single day, probably without even giving it a second thought. But for you 8th graders tuning in, I really want you to completely change how you look at that glass of water sitting on your desk. Seriously, water isn't just something you gulp down when you're thirsty. It's kind of the ultimate superhero of biology. It's this silent engine running in the background of every single living organism on our planet. So today we're going to unpack exactly why that is, and we'll look at the brilliant design behind this seemingly simple liquid. Here's our masterclass roadmap for today. We'll be journeying from the macro level of divine design all the way down to the microchemistry of water. We're going to cover the foundation of life, look at water as a universal solvent, check out nature's transport system, and explore its role as the ultimate temperature regulator. Then we'll do a quick lesson review and finally wrap up with a look at education and morality.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the foundation of life. To understand this curriculum's view on biology, we really have to start at the absolute starting point. Because every single ecosystem you'll ever study, every cellular function, every heartbeat, it literally all traces back to water. The source material references Genesis 1:20. Then God said, "Let the waters teem with living creatures." You see, from the very beginning of this creation narrative, life has depended entirely on water's completely unique properties. It acted as the literal cradle of life, way before microscopes could even show us the complex cells swimming around inside it.
Moving on to Section 2, the universal solvent, focusing on molecular power. So you might be wondering, what actually makes water so chemically powerful? Well, the crucial point is that water holds a very special title. It's called a universal solvent. Now, in chemistry, a solvent is simply a liquid that dissolves a solid, a liquid, or actually even a gaseous solute. And because water can dissolve more substances than any other liquid on Earth, it totally earns this impressive title. But why does this matter to us? Well, the chemical reactions that keep our cells alive rely on different molecules interacting with each other. If those molecules couldn't dissolve and, move freely in water, the life-saving reactions inside your cells simply would not happen.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly how this dissolving process works. It's basically this incredibly elegant two-step chemical dance. Water molecules are polar, which just means they have a slight positive charge on one end and a slight negative charge on the other, kind of like tiny magnets. So, in step 1, these polar water molecules surround the charged particles of other substances. Then, in step 2, because of those magnetic-like attractions, the water molecules actually pull apart and separate those particles, successfully dissolving them. It is literal microscopic teamwork, and it's happening millions of times a second inside you right now. No way, right? It's amazing.
All right, Section 3, nature's transport system.
Because water is such an incredible solvent, it naturally becomes the perfect biological delivery truck. And this brilliantly illustrates how it operates across entirely different forms of life. Let's look at the animal side first. Animal blood plasma is mostly water. Its main job is to act like a constantly flowing river, carrying oxygen, vital glucose for energy, and hormones right to the cells, while simultaneously washing away cellular waste. Now look at the plant side. Plants obviously don't have hearts or blood, but they do have a special tissue called xylem. The water in the xylem actually defies gravity. It carries vital dissolved minerals upward from the roots all the way to the leaves, just so the plant can perform photosynthesis. Two totally different forms of life, but both relying absolutely entirely on water for transportation.
On to Section 4, the ultimate temperature regulator, basically our biological thermostat.
So, living things are constantly battling extreme heat and cold out in the wild. But water protects organisms through a pretty cool property called high specific heat. This is essentially the ability of a substance to resist rapid temperature changes. Think about it. You know how metal gets burning hot in the summer sun really fast, but a swimming pool stays relatively cool? Yeah, that's because water requires a massive amount of energy to change its temperature. This acts as a completely critical thermal shield for individual organisms and, honestly, for entire ecosystems.
Let's explore some real-world examples here. I want you to think about the physical relief you feel when you've been running hard outside on a super hot day and finally the wind hits your sweaty skin. Right? Well, that evaporating sweat is actually water carrying away excess body heat, regulating your temperature so you don't overheat. Then, on a much larger scale, aquatic environments like lakes and oceans resist sudden temperature shifts. That protects all the fish and plant life from just freezing solid or boiling when the weather changes abruptly.
Ultimately, water ensures our internal body temperatures remain stable. It's nature's perfect thermostat.
Okay, Section 5, Lesson Review. Let's go over the what, why, and how.
All right, let's bring the energy up for a quick interactive pop quiz to solidify what we just learned. First question, why is water called the universal solvent? Take a second. Picture those tiny biological magnets we just talked about. Remember, it's because water has polar molecules that perfectly surround and separate charged particles. That allows it to dissolve a wider variety of substances than literally any other liquid on Earth.
Firing off the next question. How does water regulate body temperature and protect aquatic life? Think back to our discussion just a minute ago about running outside on a hot day. Got it? The answer involves evaporation, like sweat carrying heat away from the skin, and that key concept of high specific heat, which just means water strongly resists rapid temperature changes, keeping both our bodies and entire lakes perfectly stable.
And for our final rapid-fire review question, how does water transport materials in plants and animals? Try to remember the specific names of those biological delivery trucks. Got them? In animals, it's the blood plasma, carrying oxygen, glucose, and waste. And in plants, it's the xylem, carrying dissolved minerals straight from the roots up to the leaves. Great job if you got those right.
Moving to our final section, Section 6, Education and Morality.
Now, we're going to slow things down just a bit, because the heroesmartacademy curriculum transitions here from pure biology to philosophy, specifically exploring the deep connection between education and morality. The text references Romans 8:6-7, which promises peace of mind to everyone who keeps their mind spiritual. The curriculum posits that observing the intricate design of water isn't just about, memorizing facts for a test. It's about observing a deliberate creation to find an ultimate why. According to the source material, keeping the mind attuned to the spiritual side of this design is really intended to bring a deep sense of awe and lasting peace of mind.
And that brings us to a core philosophy presented in the material. Education without morality will hurt. This is absolutely crucial. The curriculum argues that understanding complex chemical equations or being highly educated actually means very little without a strong moral compass to guide your choices. After all, what is the point of being smart and educated if bad choices just continue to cause pain? The text warns that if intelligence is used selfishly, it inevitably leads to choices that cause harm to oneself and to others. Therefore, true education must go completely hand in hand with godly morality.
As we wrap up today's explainer, the source material leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative thought. How will you combine your education with a moral compass to make choices that bring peace instead of hurt? The curriculum's ultimate challenge for students is to take this biological intelligence, pair it with spiritual wisdom, and actually use it to be a positive, peaceful force in the world. So think on that. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next explainer.